What's up, guys? Welcome to another edition of Extreme Daily Drives, where we are always balling on a budget and wrenching our garage. Check this out. An empty garage. And here's our engine and trans. So what's going on here is that the car is over at the paint shop. So while it's over there, we're going to take some time to get this engine prepped and ready to go back in a freshly painted, not only car, but engine bay. So take a good look at what we got here. Alright, thing is by many standards in pretty darn good shape. However, there is tons of room for improvement. As we do a little 360 walk around here, you can see what we're dealing with. I made a little dolly for it, and it's actually chained to it so it doesn't tip over on us or anything, because as you guys know, this thing is doesn't really sit up and down. So we got big plans for this engine. What we're going to do is we are going to change the valve cover again. We are going to paint the engine and transmission. We're going to polish the header. We are going to reroute some of these wires so that they're less annoying. And basically clean the whole thing up 100%. Hide as much as we can so when it does go in the engine bay, it's sitting there looking awesome. I got some really cool dress up goodies too that are going to go on top of this. So I'm really excited about this part and can't wait to get started. Alright, so our goal while the car is in the paint is to get this thing looking sick. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to take lots of photos so we can make sure we know like what color switch goes where, all that kind of good stuff. Then we're going to go ahead and take the wiring harness off and see what we're left with. Alright, so we got most of the wiring off. Now, if you follow it up here, we just need to get these injectors. There you guys go. Just pulled the whole rail off. It's just way easier that way than unclipping those things while they're on the engine. So, here we are now. Still got to take these spark plug wires off and the igniter, but definitely making some progress. So we got all that removed. So now we're going to take out these two coolant hoses. You can see I've deleted a lot of stuff that's coming out of this water pipe here. And before the engine was put in the first time, I replaced all the hoses. Most of it's fuel line, but so far it's been great. No leaks, no issues. One thing to keep in mind is that these water pipes, man, they are impossible to find. So when you're removing this stuff, you want to go easy. And if you haven't removed this stuff within the last year or two, just cut it off and start over again. Because if you damage the water pipe, man, you're going to be in for it, because you're never going to find one, ever. there's a better way to do this, comment below. There we go. hear it kind of crunch loose. Boom. Alright, I'm going to take those guys off of there. And that guy, he wraps around underneath the intake. Alright, these hoses are giving me a fit, so I'm just going to move on. Let's get these grounds off of here. So coincidentally, these are the grounding wires that I've been using. They are a big step up from stock, but still, they aren't the most robust thing in the world. You can actually see I actually did this one right. I put the heat shrink on it and do that with these. But good news, I got replacements thanks to my buddy Gio. I gave him my old intake tube, and he hooked me up with some badass ground wires. So they'll be going back on the engine, not these guys. Alright, this thing's shaping up. We're making some progress. So far, not too much trouble. Let's go ahead and get this header off of here, and let's go ahead and get the alternator off of here. Then the front will pretty much be finished. Alright, front disassembled. Now we'll go ahead and remove the intake. So when I put the engine back in for the first time, I went ahead and changed all these nuts to these kind of Allen head guys because it's a cleaner look, and there's no denying it's a cleaner look. It does make accessing them difficult in certain areas. But is it worth it? You try it yourself and let me know, because some of these are definitely easier to do when it's just a regular bolt. Intake off. Here it is. It's my Skunk 2 intake. Yeah, special order. Try finding one of those. Anyway, yeah man, that came out pretty easily. So I'm going to paint that separate. That way I can get into kind of all the nooks and crannies of this engine. The more stuff you remove, the better it's going to turn out. So there you can see my water pipe. It's pretty rough looking, but it doesn't leak. So, you know, run what you brung. I never wear these gloves, and one of the reasons is because how much they make your hands sweat. But man, these things are just falling apart today. This is like my third one on this hand, and I think it's just because of the sweat. I don't think I'm like hanging it up on anything causing it to tear. It's pretty gross. Alright, so now you got a much better idea of why I removed that intake to get to this guy and to deal with the water pipe there. For whatever reason, this guy became almost like impossible to get to without the intake removed. You'll notice that I have a lot of these little brackets kind of came on the car, and then I have some worm gears in some spots. And when I first did this, I replaced all these spring brackets with the worm gears, brand new worm gears, and went ahead and started the car. In almost every single spot where I had a worm gear, it leaked. I got so angry, turned the car off, disassembled everything I could, and then went ahead and reinstalled these spring clamps anywhere I could. So I know some people will tell you the spring clamps suck, but in my experience, they're way better than worm gears. So when I first got the car back from the engine builder and put it all together, this is a spot where I had a leak, and clearly you can see it's been leaking coolant. And when the car's put together and installed and everything, this is like impossible to get to. Like, you can't get to that spot. All I could do was tighten these bolts, and they're 10 millimeter into an aluminum block, and they are pretty darn tight, and if I go bananas on them, they'll just shear right off. So I've always wanted to pull this engine and disassemble this freeze plug and put a new layer of gasket, liquid gasket in there, and reinstall to fix that leak. But the leak was so minor, I mean, it was just a very slight drip. You'll see here too, I got creative with some fuel hose. That is not how that's supposed to be. Obviously it's supposed to be a nice clean curve, but they don't make that hose anymore. And again, I kind of run what I brung. No issues, no leaks or anything like that, but we're definitely going to replace that now that we have such good access to it. I want to show you right here too, there's another little trick. Can't remember where this was going. I kind of want to say it was going to power steering or air conditioning or something. Wherever it was going, it got deleted. In order to plug up the water pipe, I threw on a piece of hose and worm geared it on there. And then what's in here is a stud, and it's just on there tight. And you know what? It doesn't leak at all, and no one sees it. It's underneath the intake. So when you're deleting stuff, man, you gotta get creative. You just can't leave stuff wide open. You gotta figure out a way to plug it up. So I've been using this little pick to get underneath these things and break the seal between the pipe and the rubber. But in this one, I accidentally curved it, and it put a hole right through it. This is probably the worst tool in the world to use when doing this, but it works so well. Just want to give you an example of cutting it instead of just kind of doing it the old-fashioned way. Now, something to keep in mind, if you can, and trust me, initially when I was removing stuff off this car, there were many of these lines that I could not save. But if you can, save it, because then you can go ahead and create one by just going ahead and cutting the hose to the proper length. But come on, buddy. There we go. I want you to really take a look at this water pipe, man. I mean, this thing's been through hell and back. You can see here, like the nice flange, that is supposed to be there, totally broke off. No issues though. I mean, it doesn't leak. I've been running it just as it is. You see this one right here. It's not in the worst shape. But yeah, this hose in general is just kind of worked over pretty good. Come on. Yeah, I went ahead and just cut it. So I'll tell you guys a quick funny story about this little guy right here. You're probably saying to yourself, I wonder what that is. When I went ahead and dropped the transmission out of this car, I did it in pieces when I first removed the engine. I did the transmission first, and then I went ahead and removed the engine. And this little connection right here, I did not see because it was just buried. And so when I dropped the transmission, it held on by this connection. And I didn't realize it was something that could be disconnected, so what I did was I twisted it and wound up kind of working its way out that way. And what this is on a 90 to 91 Honda Prelude is it's the reverse light sensor. So when you put your car in reverse, it tells the car to put the reverse lights on. So anyway, I have a brand new one of these. I've had it forever. Anyway, that's the story with that guy. That was kind of funny. Alright, backside is done. Gonna paint everything just as it is. Yeah, I'm gonna paint this. I think I'm just gonna paint it aluminum, same color as the engine. I wasn't sure what I was gonna do with that. I mean, I guess I could take it off. You know what? Maybe I will take it off. I'll tell you what, I don't know who put those bolts in there, man, but those things were tight. I'm just kidding, it was me. Okay, so last bit of removal. We're going to go ahead and remove this engine mount completely on the driver's side, and we're going to go ahead and remove the crank pulley. Now the reason we're removing this mount here is because we are using innovative mounts when the engine gets reinstalled. And the innovative mounts were designed around the B20, not the B21. So you have to use a driver's side mount from a B20, not a B21. So lucky for me, a long time ago I sourced one. So this guy's going bye-bye, and that guy's coming off to get painted. Alright, so there we have it. This thing's ready to be cleaned and ready for paint. I want to show you this pulley real quick. You may say to yourself, my God, dude, it's so rusted out. What did you do to that thing? I actually didn't do anything to that thing. So that went to the machine shop, CW Pence, who rebuilt this engine. And what they do is they sandblast everything, or soda blast it, or do something to it where they clean the hell out of everything. So they blast off everything, leaving behind, you know, raw aluminum or metal or whatever it's made out of. So when I got this thing back from them, it looked fantastic. I didn't even really consider painting it, but as you can see, since I didn't paint it, certain things that were blasted began to rust, namely the stuff that's really, I guess, not aluminum, right? You can see these guys here, these freeze plugs. That guy there, that little coolant drain plug. So this is why I'm going to paint this time around and not just leave it aluminum. So yeah, so I'm super excited to get this thing painted, man. It's going to look sick. It's going to look like it's supposed to look. Yeah, man, pretty cool. So pretty stoked about it. You know, obviously the front of the engine is what everyone sees. Yeah, this thing should look really good. We're painting the whole thing. So when all is said and done, it should look pretty sweet sitting in that engine bay. So I'm going to stop it here for today. Thanks so much for watching. Hey man, check this shirt out. What do you think? Huh? Let's make Preludes great again. If you like this shirt or any of the other ones that I wear, go ahead to extremedailyDrivers.com and order yourself one. Dude, they're cheap. I make no money off of them because, quite frankly, they come from where you're ordering it. They get shipped from where you're ordering it. I never see the actual item. So since they're doing all the printing and they're doing all the shipping, I get like $2. But anyway, it's not about me getting rich. It's about you guys supporting the channel and supporting Preludes. So the next time you see this engine, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be cleaning and degreasing it. Then we're going to be taping it off and getting it ready for paint. So I hope you're looking forward to that as much as I am. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time. Later.